الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. In our previous class, we had read Al-A'iq Al-Thalith. We had read the third obstacle from the obstacles in seeking knowledge, and that was Al-I'timadu ala Al-Kuttaab duna Al-Ulama, relying on the books without the scholars. And we have seen what the author he mentioned about that rahimahullah ta'ala and its dangers, and likewise what he has transmitted from the statements of As-Salafy with regards to that. And we had discussed the statement of Abu Hayyan al-Nahwi rahimahullah ta'ala in these lines of poetry that we had closed with whenever he mentioned يظن الغمر أن الكتب تجدي أخا فهما لإدراك العلوم وما يدري الجهول بأن فيها غوامض حيرة عقل الفهيم إذا رمت العلوم بغير شيخ ضللت عن الصراط المستقيم وتلتبس الأمور عليك حتى تكون أضل من توما الحكيم أو من توما الحكيم. The meaning of these lines of poetry: the fool thinks that the books will suffice him to understand and comprehend the sciences, but the ignorant one did not know that in those books are unclear affairs that will confuse the mind of the one with sound understanding. So if you try to understand the sciences, the different types of knowledges without a sheikh, without a teacher, then you will go astray from the straight path, and the affairs will become mixed up and unclear for you, and you will be more misguided, and you will be more misguided than Tawma al-Hakimi. So in our previous class, we were discussing the issue of Tawma al-Hakimi. And after doing some research, and likewise some brothers as well, looking into this affair, we have found that this is a name of an individual. Tawma. His name is Tawma, but they called him Tawma al-Hakim. And this is in sarcasm, because this person here has become an example and a parable for someone who is described as having al-Jahl al-Murakkab. Al-Jahl al-Murakkab. Al-Jahl al-Murakkab is compound ignorance. Al-Jahl al-Murakkab is compound ignorance. Whenever a person, he's jahil, wa la yadri annahu jahil, and he's ignorant, and he does not know that he's ignorant, and he's ignorant and he thinks he's right. So he himself is ignorant, this is jahlun, and then on top of that he thinks he's right and does not know that he's ignorant, and this is jahlun akhar. So that had a jahlun fawqa jahl. So it's called jahlun murakkab, yani compound ignorance on top of ignorance. It's mentioned about him that his father was a doctor, and he inherited the books of his father, and he tried to study and learn with the books and be a doctor and speak about medicine. And from that is that the narration was found there: Habbatu Sauda, Al-Habbatu Sauda, Shifa'u Kulli Alila, Shifa'u Kulli Marad. That the black seed is a cure for every disease. But he read it wrong, and he said Hayya al-Hayyatu Sauda. Instead of with one dot for a ba, he read it with two dots for a ya, changing it from al-Habbatu as-Sauda to al-Hayyatu as-Sauda. Who knows the difference between al-Habbatu and al-Hayyatu? In the language, in the writing, the difference is one dot. Al-ba has one dot and the ya has two dots. So if you say al-Habbatu with the ba, one dot, this means seed, black seed. Al-Habbatu Sauda, black seed is a cure for every disease. But if you put two dots there, instead of a ba, you say with a ya, al-Hayyatu as-Sauda, Shifa'un li kulli marad. The black snake. The black snake is a cure for every disease. So this is the problem about having fools around. This is the problem if fools are in one's company. Even the people of knowledge, they mention that an intelligent enemy is better than an ignorant and a stupid friend. Yani because the one who is a foolish and an ignorant friend, he will try to help you and he will harm you. In his heart, he has good intentions, but because he's so foolish and because he's so ignorant, he will harm you instead of helping you. He will harm you instead of helping you. So this is the case. He wants to mention this about this medicine and read the likes of these narrations, and he made a mistake. The point here is to clarify that the one who tries to understand the knowledge without a teacher, then he will be more misguided than this person. Even some of the people of knowledge have mentioned other lines of poetry about him and about his donkey. They say that they mentioned, they said, قال حمار الطبيب تومة لو أنصفوني لكنت أركب لأنني جاهل بسيط وراكبني جهله مركب وراكبني جهله مركب. He said that the donkey of the doctor, Toma, and they're saying that his donkey is saying this. Toma, his donkey says this, that if he was just and dealt with me justly, if he dealt with me justly, then I'll be the one riding. Because my ignorance is basit. And I'm just slightly ignorant, meaning I know that I don't know. As for the one riding me, then his ignorance is compound ignorance. And he's ignorant and he does not know he's ignorant. So they made this example about this individual here. So this is what was discussed in the previous class. And likewise, some of the brothers brought to my attention a mistake that I made. We were talking also about the book Ihya Ulum ad-Din. And I was mentioning it's by Al-Razi. And this was a mistake. It's Al-Ghazali. And to rectify that or correct that and to clarify that, Al-Ghazali, Abu Hamid, Muhammad Al-Ghazali, he died in the year 505. And he was like Al-Razi. Al-Razi, he died 100 years later. And Al-Razi, he's the one who has the tafsir. But both of them were from the mutakallimin. Both of them were from those who were affected by philosophy and by the extreme ideas of the Sufiya, and their works were infected with the likes of this misguided knowledge. But the one that is referred to in this work was the book Ihya Ulum ad-Din, reviving the sciences of the religion. And some of the people of knowledge, they mentioned about how bad this book has been corrupted, or the things that he has placed in there in reality is killing the sciences of the religion, because he mixed in that work a whole lot of great and beneficial narrations from the Salaf, along with some foul and bad understandings of those who came later from the extreme Sufiya. So after him, a number of the people of knowledge after Al-Ghazali, they had looked in that book and found benefit there, and they tried to rectify it. And there's Tahdhib Ihya Ulum ad-Din, and there's also the Sharh, which is being referred to what the author he transmitted from here, rahimahullah, the explanation of that, where they tried to remove some of that falsehood and some of those issues that are in contradiction to the Sunnah and in contradiction to the proper creed and methodology. But in any case, to know that work was originally by Al-Ghazali, Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. He died in the year 505. It's mentioned about him likewise that he repented from his misguidance and from ilm al-kalam, and from those who regretted that and returned back to the creed of the Salaf al-Salih. And it's mentioned the same thing about the other individual we referred to, which was Al-Razi. I had confused their names in the previous class, so we take note of that and rectify that. Also, we've seen the issue here that what was mentioned from the wisdom of having a teacher, because a person, he will not be able to truly benefit from the books. And many times in the books, there are things that a person, he will not be able to understand, or there's terminology, or there's a methodology. Maybe the particular author, he is on a particular madhab, and he does not know that. For example, some of the tafasir, like tafsir al-Zamakhshari. Al-Zamakhshari, huwa ra's al-Mu'tazila. Zamakhshari, he's the head of the Mu'tazila. And some of the people of knowledge, they said, استخرجنا اعتزالاته بالمناقيش, that we have taken out his corrupt creed of al-i'tizal with tweezers. And he will make statements, for example, in verses where Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned about entering paradise, that the successful, the believers who work righteous deeds, they enter paradise. And Allah will say, وَذَلِكَ هُوَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ أو ذلك هو الفوز الكبير, and the likes like this, and this is the great success. And in his tafsir, he will say the likes that, and there is no success greater than that, and there's no success greater than that. This is the ultimate success that one could reach. And a person who does not know or understand the creed of Ahl Sunnah, and likewise the creed of this man and what he intends by that, he may think that that's a proper and a good statement. But what he intends by that is to establish his creed and the creed of the Mu'tazila, and that is they do not believe that Allah will be seen in the hereafter. Because indeed, greater than entering paradise, and فوز أعظم وأكبر من دخول الجنة رؤية الله سبحانه وتعالى في الجنة وهو ينفيها. Greater than entering paradise is to see Allah Azza wa Jal in paradise. But the Mu'tazila, they deny that. They deny that. So this statement that he's making in reality is establishing his corrupt creed and denying that Allah will be seen by the believers with their eyes in paradise. So the one who does not know these affairs, maybe he'll be affected by that and he will not even perceive and realize. Not even perceive and realize. Maybe he'll transmit it himself and the likes like this, thinking that it's a beneficial statement, but in reality, that man, he intends a false creed. He intends to establish a false belief and a false creed. And these things like this are found especially in the books of Lughah, and likewise especially in the books of Usul al-Fiqh. And from those who had great works in Usul al-Fiqh, the same one here who wrote this book, Ihya Ulumuddin al-Ghazali, and they put their misguided creed in those books in a strong way. They introduced the creed of the Asha'ira and the Mu'tazila and the likes in those books and mixed it with Usul al-Fiqh. So it's very dangerous in many aspects to try to delve into the likes of these books and these sciences without having an instructor, without having a teacher who's qualified and who's good. And he mentioned some benefits in this in the work that we read this morning, that the person he will write what he did not read, and he will read what he did not write, and meaning that he will not understand, and he will hear something. The teacher will say the book will say something, and he'll write something else. And this is the case of a new student if he advances upon any situations and knowledge that he's not qualified for. He will hear contrary to what is mentioned to him, and he will write contrary to what he hears. And the people of knowledge, they mention lines of poetry about this likewise. And the fact that the people of knowledge from the early generations have put these topics and these subjects and these masail in lines of poetry is an indication that they're fundamentals with them and they're well known. They're fundamentals with them and they're well known. He says, أقول له بكرا فيسمع خالدا ويكتب زيدا ويقرأ عمرا. He said, I say to him Bakr, and he hears Khalid, and he writes Zayd, and he reads it Amr. And he said, this is the case of the student who he's not qualified. He's taking on a level of knowledge that he's not ready for. He would hear, they'll say to him Bakr, and he will hear Khalid, and he will write Zayd, and he will read Amr like this. And he's not qualified. He's not paying attention. He's not dedicated. He's not at that level yet. Likewise, they would say, Ya'i ghayru ma kulna wa yaktubu ghayru ma wa'ahu wa yaqra'u ghayru ma huwa katibu, that he hears, that he comprehends contrary than what we said, and he writes other than what he comprehended, and he reads other than what he's writing. And I remember an experience in Al-Madinah, and one time we were in the lesson with the Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Badr, Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, and there were some younger brothers with us who were still in the Ma'had. They were still in the Institute for the Arabic Language, and they're not really proficient in the Arabic language yet, but they were still moving along and going to some of the gatherings of the scholars. So after the class, we're riding home, and in the car, we're discussing some of the issues and reviewing the benefits that were mentioned in the class. And one of them that was in the institute, he said, "Did you hear the Sheikh? He said that such and such is haram and impermissible." And we all look at him like, well, what are you talking about? The Sheikh, he didn't say that. He said, didn't you hear the Sheikh? He said that such and such is impermissible. And we're like, all of us are like, no, the Sheikh, he said it is permissible. And he completely understood it contrary to what was intended. And he's transmitting now contrary to what was said. And this is a problem whenever people are ascribing statements to the scholars that are contrary to what they said and what they intended. Contrary to what they said and what they intended. So, this is a case. A person, he should be cautious. He should be cautious with the knowledge and try his best to learn in stages and from the most important aspects of knowledge, rather from the pillars of learning. من أركان التعليم, from the pillars of education, المدرس, to have a teacher, from the pillars of learning. From the pillars of learning is to have a teacher who is qualified in knowledge and likewise qualified in deen, qualified in creed, qualified in manners, qualified in conduct, qualified in experience. This is of utmost importance and something that one he should supplicate for, something that one he should hope that Allah will provide for him and for his loved ones, that Allah will provide a good and a righteous teacher for himself and for his children, and he will make effort for that, to find that, to supplicate to Allah for that and the likes. So the issue of learning from the books only, this is something that is established and well known. something that is established and well known. But there's a moderate path. So, for example, if there is a society or community which many of us experience in these lands, they're not able to sit with the scholars, or they're not able to travel, or there's no people of knowledge around. So we will not tell them that you cannot read the books. This is the best and the right way. That person, he will not rely upon the books. Rather, he will have a teacher that will help him and cultivate him until he's able to benefit from the books. But if a person, he was not able to have a teacher because the teacher is not available and the books are available, then he will fear Allah Azza wa Jal and he will read and try to benefit. And he will read and try to benefit. And in these days, likewise, maybe a person, he's not able to sit with the people of knowledge, but he's able to listen to their recordings. So in this era now, we have the issue of ashrita, yani the tapes and the cassettes, and now we have tasjilat, the recordings of the lectures of the people of knowledge, recordings of the lectures and the classes and the explanations of entire books from the beginning to the end of the people of knowledge. Any of those who have passed in recent years and those who are still alive, So this is no doubt a way to benefit. But still, it's not the same. And the one who learns from the recordings is not the same as the one who learned in the gatherings at the foot of a teacher and benefiting from him directly. But no doubt it's a beneficial way. And the people of knowledge, they mention a statement here. The author is going to refer to it. Inshallah, we read it, rahimahullah ta'ala. And that is the statement of the Salaf whenever they say, Rahimallahu abdan arafa qadra nafsihi. May Allah have mercy on a person who knows his level. He doesn't try to be in a level he's not. He doesn't try to put himself in a level he's not. Likewise, he will not fall back from a level he's not likewise and back down whenever he's qualified and it's required for him to step up and to speak. Rather, he will know his level and he will be silent when it's time for him to be silent, and he will speak when it's time for him to speak in the limits of that which he has learned. So the people of knowledge, they mentioned about the likes of this affair. For example, in some communities here in America, there are individuals who are very diligent. There are individuals who are very diligent. They love Islam. They love the Sunnah. They've been guided to a da'wah salafiyah. They benefited from the people of knowledge. Maybe some of them have learned the Arabic language and they benefit from the recordings and the likes of the people of knowledge. Or even maybe some of them had not yet even learned the Arabic language fluently, but because of diligence and working hard, they have learned the creed. In a good manner, and they're upon al-aqidah as-salafiyya, and they learn the manhaj, they learn the methodology. They have learned a lot about al-Islam, and they have learned a lot about the Sunnah. And in their community, they're possibly the most knowledgeable. They're possibly considered the most knowledgeable. So if that's the case in this situation, then he will have to step up and benefit the people in the manner that he can. But the likes of this person, whenever he teaches the people, he will say that if he's reading this book, it's best for him to read the book together as if they're in a study circle. He will not approach the people like he's teaching them, because he didn't learn from the people of knowledge to actually be a teacher himself. So he will be humble, and this is my advice. He will be humble, and he will sit like in a circle with his brothers, and he will lead the circle. And they'll read the book together, and they will discuss, and he will mention any benefits that he has with regards to the text that he's studying. If he studied Usul al-Thalatha, for example, and he listened to the explanation of Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, or Shaykh al-Fawzan, or Shaykh Abdul Razak, or Shaykh Ibn Baz, or Shaykh Muhammad Aman al-Jami, or any of the Mashaykh, or any of the mashaykh that are well known, and he benefited from that, or he read those translations and he was diligent and he benefited from that, and the people around him, his brothers, they're in need of that knowledge that he has. He will sit with them and study. And direct them, and he will be generous with the knowledge that he was given. But he will be humble, and he will, in my advice, to be like a study group. He will not say, I'm the teacher and you're my student like this, because he's not reached the level where he's actually qualified to be a teacher, but he's going to lead the lesson in this manner, and they read and they can benefit together. And he would tell them, this particular book here, I have listened to this explanation, I have read this explanation, I have read the translation of the explanation of this one, alhamdulillah, and I have benefited, and inshallah I will share the benefit with you like this. He will not act like he's a big scholar. He will not act like he's a student of so-and-so. He will not act like he's in a level that he's not. He will simply say, Barakallah fiqh, I listened to the lectures of Sheikh so-and-so 3-4 times. I benefited from them. Let's read it together, alhamdulillah. And then the benefits that come that he remembers from those lectures that he listened to and those recordings, he will mention them. And this is something that I have heard that has reached me from our Sheikh Zayd al-Madkhali. Sheikh Zayd al-Qadir rahimahullah ta'ala, that he mentioned similarly like this, that a person, if he learned from the tapes, he learned from the recordings, that this is good for him. This is good for him, but he will know his level, and he will not pretend to be at a level that he's not, and he will tell the people that I didn't sit with the scholars, but I benefited from these tapes or from these recordings, and inshallah we can benefit together and read. And we can benefit together and read. And this is something that is needed. In some communities, there are no students of knowledge. In some communities, there's no one who has traveled and studied, but there are brothers who are diligent. So those brothers who are diligent, they should fear Allah Azza wa Jal, and they should know their own level, and they should not try to step the boundaries, but likewise, they should not back down whenever their brothers are in need. Whenever their brothers are in need, a person who learns the Aqidah, Sahihah, the correct, proper Islamic creed, compared to the one who does not know, he'll be like Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. He'll be like Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah because the Aqidah is so profound. Al-Islam, the correct understanding of Al-Islam is so profound, it's so great, it's so magnificent, it's so beneficial. So the one who has misunderstandings in Tawheed, compared to the one who has no misunderstandings in Tawheed, it's like night and day. It's like night and day. The person who has misunderstandings, blind following with regards to Salat, is not like the one who knows how to pray properly, even if he didn't memorize all the narrations of how to pray. But he has learned how to pray properly, so he can help correct many of the mistakes and the errors that his brothers are falling into with regards to their prayer. And he never left his town, he never left the city, he never sat with the scholars. He's not a big student of knowledge, but because he's diligent in his religion, he has learned these affairs, he has khair with him. He has khair with him. So sometimes in some communities, especially here in America, the likes of these brothers, they have to fear Allah. They have to fear Allah and benefit those around them the best they can without transgressing their limits and without letting their heads get big and thinking that they have reached a level that they're not, or try to approach the knowledge in a manner that they're not qualified, and to simply just hope to benefit themselves and their brothers in Islam in the community that they're in, and try to make the best effort to study and to contact the people of knowledge or the students of knowledge who are qualified and trustworthy, in order to have a relationship with them, to get guidance from them whenever they come across affairs that they do not know. That they do not know. And no doubt anybody who's involved in knowledge, he's going to come across affairs that he does not know, regardless of his level in knowledge. Because the Sunnah is not gathered in one man. The Sunnah and the Deen of Allah is not gathered in one man. Everyone, فَوْقُ كُلُّ ذِي عِلْمٍ alim. There's always someone who has more knowledge than another. So this ayat number 3, the third roadblock. This is a warning here. This is a warning here not to rely upon the books and the likes of that from those tapes or recordings. Whenever a person is able. The origin is that a person, he will learn from a teacher. He will learn from a teacher, and he will move through the stages of knowledge until bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, he will reach a level where he can benefit from the books. And even then, it will not be said to him, you can't benefit from any books. You can't read any books. But the teacher will guide him to the books that he can benefit from and that are suitable for him. And they will warn him from the books that are not suitable for him at his level. And some people, they want to jump the stages and begin with Fath al-Bari, or begin with Sharh Sahih Muslim, and they haven't even read any explanation of the 40 hadith of an-Nawawi, for example. Or he wants to memorize Bulugh al-Maram, and he hasn't even memorized the 40 hadith of an-Nawawi. Or wants to memorize this long giant poem, and hasn't even memorized the fundamentals, or Surah Thalatha, for example. The people of knowledge, they highly encourage people to learn in the proper manner. This is going to come, and from that is making it tadarruj. This can be known by having a teacher. So this obstacle here is an indication that one, he has to have a teacher. The obstacle number 3 is an indication that one has to have a teacher. He will have a teacher, because if he doesn't have a teacher, he's going to fall into a roadblock. He's going to fall into an obstacle. He's going to be tried. He's going to be tested. He's not going to be able to truly benefit. The teacher is going to help him from a lot of effort, save him a lot of time and a lot of effort, and help him move quickly in the process of learning. Even if he were to have a book only, and then eventually he benefited from that book, it's going to take a long time for him to get and to reach the benefits that the teacher has. The teacher has experience and time, and he has experience from his own teachers, and experience from different circumstances and situations, experience from his own research, experience from his own teaching himself. So he has a lot of experience that he can direct by way of the student, so that he will save that student a lot of time and a lot of heartache and headache and a lot of problems, and he will make the path of seeking knowledge much shorter and easy for him. This is the blessing of having a teacher. This is a blessing of having a teacher. So here, whenever the author moves on now, العائق الرابع أخذ العلم عن الأصاغر. العائق الرابع أخذ العلم عن الأصاغر. The fourth obstacle is taking knowledge from the little ones. Taking knowledge from the little ones. What is intended from the little ones is going to come bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. There's a number of interpretations and understandings, and each one of them has its proper place and application. But here, now again, we've seen in the previous issue the great importance of having a teacher. Now we have to realize that it cannot be just any teacher. It cannot be just any teacher. The teacher, he has to be qualified. The teacher, he has to be reliable. The teacher, he has to be trustworthy. Because if a person, he winds up in the hands of the wrong teacher, maybe the teacher will mislead him or misguide him or use him like a slave and the likes like this, or manipulate him or deceive him or trick him and the likes like this. And this is a foul way, but it's apparent. It's a foul way, and it's apparent not only in these days, from the early days. From the early days, and the narrations will come to clarify this. So we can summarize here in the beginning, again, the importance of having a teacher, and that teacher is qualified and he's righteous and he's noble, on a good way, on a good path. And this is from the blessings and the favors of Allah. Rather, from the greatest blessings and favors of Allah is that a person will be guided to have a good, trustworthy, reliable, knowledgeable, qualified teacher. This is from the greatest blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal. For this reason, whenever we look into the books of hadith, and the hadith and the narrations from the tabi'een specifically, they used to supplicate and call on Allah. From their supplications, Allahumma rzuqni jalisan salihah. Allahumma rzuqni jalisan salihah. This is a supplication that has been made from a number of the tabi'een. One of them will say, Allahumma yassir li jalisan salihah. Oh Allah, provide for me. Oh Allah, facilitate for me to have a righteous companion to sit with and learn from. What is intended here, jalisan salihah, yani a teacher. A teacher, one that would teach him and benefit him and help him learn his religion. So this is something to supplicate for. And this is the methodology of the Salaf al-Salih. It's collected by Tirmidhi. And likewise Ibn Majid from the hadith of Hurayth ibn Qabisa, rahimahullah ta'ala, from the Tabi'in. He died in the year 67. قال قدمت المدينة فقلت اللهم يسر لي جليسا صالحا. He said, Hurayth ibn Qabisa, rahimahullah, he said, I was coming to Al-Madinah. He's traveling. I'm coming to Al-Madinah. So on my journey there, I said, Allahumma yassir li jalisan salihah. Oh Allah, facilitate for me to have a righteous companion. And for me to have a righteous companion, a righteous teacher that I can sit with and will teach me and help me. قال فجلست إلى أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه. So he says, whenever I got to Medina, I sat with Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. So this was a supplication. This is a supplication that he made, and it was answered. And he was given success to sit with Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu until the end of the narration. And it's a long narration. The point is this issue here, supplicating and calling on Allah, begging him and hoping from Allah that a teacher will be facilitated for him, that Allah will provide him with a righteous teacher. Likewise in Sahih al-Bukhari, from the hadith of Al-Qama ibn Qais النخعي رحمه الله تعالى, he died in the year 60. قال قدمت الشام, يعني Sham. He said, I came to Sham. فصليت ركعتين ثم قلت اللهم يسر لي جليسا صالحا. Al-Qama, he came to Sham, and this is where Damascus and the likes. Damascus, he says, and so when I got there, I prayed 2 rak'ah, and I said, oh Allah, facilitate for me to have a righteous companion. فأتيت قوما فجلست إليهم فإذا شيخ قد جاء حتى جلس إلى جنبي. So he said, I came to a group of people, and he's sitting and in the masjid. So I sat with them until a man came, a sheikh, he came, and he said to my side, قلت من هذا? He said, who is that? قالوا أبو الدرداء. They said Abu الدرداء. Abu Darda, and he just comes, he makes dua for a righteous companion, and then next thing you know, Abu Darda comes and sits next to him. Sits next to him, radiyallahu anhu. فقلت إني دعوت الله أن ييسر لي جليسا صالحا فيسرك لي. He said to him, whenever he found out this is Abu Darda, the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, indeed, I called on Allah and I supplicated him to provide for me and facilitate for me a righteous companion. And here you have been facilitated for me. You are the answer to my supplication. And this has been mentioned in some wordings of this narration. He said, Alhamdulillah, inni la arju an yakuna Allahu subhanahu wa ta'ala astajaba da'wati. He said, I really, indeed, I hope that Allah Azza wa Jal has responded to my supplication. And meaning that he has given success to sit with Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu. So here we see too from the Tabi'een supplicating and calling on Allah. And they're coming to these different lands for the purpose of seeking knowledge. They're traveling to these lands to seek knowledge. And in that journey and in that process, they are begging Allah Azza wa Jalla to provide them with the righteous companion to sit with and learn from. So if a person, he's going to travel overseas, he wants to go to Medina, to the university, for example, this is from the way that he should follow, that he should supplicate and ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to provide him with the righteous teacher. Even if he's in America, whatever the case may be, wherever he may be, even if he's not going to travel, but he wants to learn his religion, supplicate and beg Allah Azza wa Jal to provide for you a righteous and a good and noble teacher that will benefit you and that will help you, that does not want anything from you personally as an individual except for you to benefit in your religion, worship Allah Azza wa Jal alone and follow the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is what a real teacher would want from his students, that they will follow the deen of Allah and they will establish it in their life and they will establish it in their home and they will spread any benefit that they have learned of that knowledge to their family and their loved ones, and they will be a means to establish the deen of Allah. This is what a true teacher, a true caller is seeking for the deen of Allah to be established, for the deen of Allah to be established in the hearts of the believers, and then from there in their homes and throughout the lands. So this is of utmost importance because not every teacher has this intention. Not every teacher is in this manner. And some of the teachers, they're not qualified. And some of the teachers, they mislead their students and cause them to miss out on great benefit. And they turn them away from others who are more qualified out of jealousy or out of envy or out of other issues and problems that they have in their hearts. Waliyadu billah. So this is something to know. And this is what the author he's mentioning here. Al-A'iq al-Rabi' Akhdhu al-Ilmi an al-Asagir. The fourth obstacle, taking knowledge from the little ones. Taking knowledge from the little ones. Before we read what is mentioned here, it has come in Al-I'tisam by Shatibi rahimahullah ta'ala, that's qila fi ma'nahu ahlul bid'ah. And there's a number of interpretations. We summarize them now briefly. So it's been mentioned about who are the asagir. The asagir is the plural of as-saghir. As-saghir literally it means little. The one who is saghir, the one who is little. The one who is young, he's saghir. The child, he's called saghir. And the one who is old, an elder, he's called kibir. But the word saghir has a number of meanings according to the context. A person could be saghir because of his age, or he could be considered saghir because of his manners, because he's lowly, so he's considered saghir, he's insignificant, or he's lowly, he has base desires, he's no good, and the likes like this. So there's a number of reasons. Maybe he's saghir because of following desires, or because of blind following somebody absolutely. All of these terms here are used to refer to the likes of these people, saghir. And the plural is sigar, or asagir. So Ahl Bid'ah, they are considered asagir. They're considered asagir. A person of innovation is saghir. He's insignificant, he's little, insignificant, and he's lowly. And likewise, al-jahil, man laysa indahu ilm. This is all of this has come from the Salaf. Rahimahum, the one who has no knowledge is considered saghir. He's jahil, especially if his jahil is murakkab, and especially if he tries to step up and to put himself in a position that he does not belong. He's even more insignificant and belittling himself even more and even more. And then likewise, al-asagir, sigar, as-sin as well, those who are young and aged. So all of these interpretations have been mentioned with regards to the saghir. But the point is now it's not restricted to one of these affairs, and the context could be different. And a person could possibly be saghir in his age and his kabir in his status and his rank and his knowledge because of his truthfulness and because of his sincerity and because of his diligence and hard effort and hard work, he could become kabir. And it's been mentioned likewise about Umar radiyallahu anhu that he had a mashura, he had a board, a council that he used to seek advice from, and in that council there was kuhul and there was shabab, there was shabab, and there was the kuhud, and there were elders and there were youth. There were elders and there were youth, and from those youth was Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He was young, but he was brought to the gatherings of Umar and to the consultations of Umar radiallahu anhu, and he's young, but because of his knowledge, he's considered big. He's considered big. And likewise, the people of knowledge, they mention as well, even if someone is small, even if someone is young, but he follows the narrations, he follows the deen, he follows the knowledge that's correct, he follows the Quran and the Sunnah and the narrations of the Salaf, and he holds fast to that, now he's considered kabir, and he's not considered saghir. And maybe somebody is kabir with white hair on his beard and on his face, but he blind follows so-and-so, and he opposes the legislation, and he opposes the principles and the likes like this. So now his age will not help him. He's considered saghir. He's little and lowly. So narrations about these affairs, they will come and we discuss them, insha'Allah ta'ala. So with regards to this, there is a narration collected by Imam al-Hakim rahimahullah ta'ala from the hadith of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, al-barakatu ma'a akabirikum, al-barakatu ma'a akabirikum. Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he has authenticated this narration. Al-barakat, the blessing, ma'a akabirikum, is with your elders, and with the mashayikh, those who are old, and those who their beards have become great in knowledge and experience, and they're known for that. So the author, he says, لَقَدْ فَشَتْ ظَاهِرَةُ أَخْذِ الْعِلْمِ عَنْ صِغَارِ الْأَسْنَانِ بين طلاب العلم في هذا الزمن، وهذه الظاهرة في الحقيقة داء عضال ومرض مزمن يعيق الطالب عن مراده ويعوج به عن الطريق السليم الموصل إلى العلم. Indeed, the phenomenon of obtaining knowledge from those who are young in age is spreading among students of knowledge in this time. This phenomenon in reality is a terminal disease and a chronic illness, deterring the student from his objective and leading him away from the sound path leading to knowledge. You see the words that he's choosing here. That this is a phenomenon that's becoming apparent and spreading in these days, meaning it was not apparent and spread and widespread amongst the previous generations. This is something that has appeared in these times, the people taking knowledge from those who are young. And in this chapter, we see now how the author, he's starting and is interpreting this word al-asagir to be those who are young in age. Those who are young in age. Although there are other interpretations, and no doubt taking knowledge from each one of these individuals would be considered an act and an obstacle. But the author here is focusing on those who are young in age. This phenomenon in reality is a terminal disease and a chronic illness, detouring the student from his objective and leading him away from the sound path leading to knowledge. He says, rahimahullah, وَذَلِكَ لِأَنَّ أَخْذَ الْعِلْمِ عَنْ صِغَارِ الْأَسْنَانِ الَّذِينَ لَمْ تَرْسُخْ قَدَمُهُمْ فِي الْعِلْمِ وَلَمْ تَشُبَّ لِحَاهُمْ فِيهِ مَعَ وُجُودِ مَنْ هُوَ أَكْبَرُ مِنْهُمْ سِنًّا وَأَرْسَخُ قَدَمًا يُضْعِفُ أساس المبتدئ ويحرمه الاستفادة من خبرة العلماء الكبار واكتساب أخلاقهم التي قومهم العلم والزمن إلى غير ذلك من التعليلات التي يوحي بها آثر ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه، حيث يقول: ولا يزال الناس بخير ما أخذوا العلم عن أكابرهم وعن أمنائهم وعلمائهم، فإذا أخذوه عن صغارهم وشرارهم هلكوا. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, the meaning of this statement here, this is because taking knowledge from those who are young in age, those whose feet are not firmly grounded in knowledge, nor did their beards grow old in it, and their beards did not likewise grow old in knowledge, along with the presence of those who are older than them in age and feet more firmly grounded. This weakens the foundation of the beginner and prohibits him from benefiting from the experience of the major scholars and gaining their manners, which knowledge and time have rectified for them. This statement here is of utmost importance to realize in this issue. This here is the act. This here is the obstacle. This is what one will be forbidden from reaching and obtaining. And this is the failure here. That the one who takes knowledge in this manner, that he will be forbidden. This weakens the foundation of the beginner, and his foundation is being weakened. The very base of his education is being weakened and prohibits him from benefiting from the experience of the major scholars and gaining their manners and gaining their manners, which knowledge and time have rectified for them. So the people of knowledge, those whom their beards have become gray in knowledge, and they're known for that. Those who are known for their knowledge, they're known for their knowledge for years, for carrying knowledge and teaching knowledge and establishing knowledge and defending knowledge, and known for the proper methodology, the proper creed, the proper methodology. The time and the experience that they have along with that knowledge has refined their soul, has rectified their hearts, has checked them, and they are from the best of mankind, and their manners are at the peak of nobility and the peak of honor and dignity, and the way they carry themselves is in the most beautiful and beneficial manner. So the one who is prohibited from benefiting from the likes of that person and turned away to someone who was lesser than him, younger than him, not having the experience that he has, or the understanding that he has, or his soul is not refined in that manner, and his manners and conduct is not purified in that way and lofty in that way likewise, then now he's missing out on a great opportunity. The one who has seen a scholar and set at his foot and benefited from him is not like the one who has not seen a scholar and not set at his foot and benefited from him. It's not the same. Somebody who has seen the people of knowledge and benefited from them directly and knows their manners and their conduct and the way they move and their demeanor. They think before they speak and before they act, and they're humble and they're dignified. They're not hasty. They're not reckless. They're not rude. They're not harsh. They're not mean. They're not selfish. And the likes like this, they're not stingy. They have purified these foul traits from them, which many of the youth are still tried with. Even those who are working to purify themselves, they have not completely got a hold of their soul because of young age and little experience. So this is deterring the student away from that which is best for him by calling them away from the major scholars. And this is also the sign of the people of deviation and the people of ahwa. The people of desires from their methodology is to lead the awam and the layman and the youth away from the true scholars, and to mislead them and to have them in their hands and in their clutches, and to use them and manipulate them for their own personal gains. This is what the Ikhwan Muslimun, they do. They try to take advantage of the shabab. In many countries, they will have outings and they'll have gatherings away from the masajid, away from the people, and they'll take them out and spend money on them, and they'll play games and the likes like this, and then give them classes and talks and warn them from the people of knowledge, and warn them from the scholars, warn them from Ibn Baz, rahimahullah, warn them from Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, warn them from the well-known people of knowledge, until they create a gap between the youth and between the scholars. And now after that, they can do what they like with them, and they can mislead them, and they can plant doubts in their minds and use them for their aims and their goals. Waliyadu billah. So in reality, this is a major affair. So this is not a good sign for individuals to call others, to those who are lesser than the people of knowledge, whenever, like he says here, then people of knowledge, they are present. So he says here, we read it again. This weakens the foundation of the beginner and prohibits him from benefiting from the experience of the major scholars and gaining their manners, which knowledge and time have rectified for them. And other than that, from the reasons which are indicated in the narration of Ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, whenever he said, the people will remain upon goodness so long as they take knowledge from their elders, those who are trustworthy, and the scholars. And whenever they take knowledge from the youth and the evil ones, they will be destroyed. So this is a great narration. The people will remain upon goodness so long as they take knowledge from their elders, those who are trustworthy. And this is of utmost importance to realize, because not everyone who carries knowledge, and not everyone who has even mastered some aspects of knowledge, not everyone who carries knowledge or mastered some aspects of knowledge is trustworthy and reliable. Having knowledge and having al-amana is two separate affairs. All the way back to the times of the scholars of hadith, whenever they would find fault with the narrators. Maybe a person, he is a great memorizer. He's somebody who has memorized lots of narrations, but they will reject his narrations because he has a corrupt creed, or because he's not reliable, or because he's not trustworthy. So because of this would be a reason to reject his narrations and to not accept them. So it's not sufficient for a person to be considered reliable in knowledge to have knowledge only. Rather, he has to have knowledge and then be reliable and trustworthy in his conduct, in his manners, in his demeanor, in his dealings with the people, Because a person who does not fear Allah, he will not fear the people. He does not fear Allah Azza wa Jal and give Allah his rights. He's not going to give the people their rights. He's going to bring trouble and trials. So the people will remain upon goodness so long as they take knowledge from their elders, those who are trustworthy, and the scholars. And whenever they take knowledge from the youth and the evil ones, from the youth and the evil ones, any shirarihim, from their evil ones, at this time they will be destroyed. They will be destroyed. Waliyadu billah. So this is from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. He died in the year 32. So this is a fear that is known, that people, they'll take knowledge from evil ones, or others will take knowledge from those who are not trustworthy and reliable. So we have to be cautious. The author, he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَثَبَتَ الْحَدِيثُ عَنْ أَبِي أُمَيَّةَ الْجُمَحِي أَنَّ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ قال إِنَّ مِنْ أَشْرَطِ السَّاعَةِ أَنْ يُلْتَمَسَ الْعِلْمُ عِنْدَ الْأَصَاغِرِ. He said that, rahimahullah ta'ala, it is affirmed from the narration of Abu Umayyah, from the hadith of Abu Umayyah, and he says Abu Umama, right here we have to fix that part. Abu Umayyah Al-Jumahi radiyallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, indeed from the signs of the hour is that knowledge will be sought from the asagir, from the little ones. Indeed from the signs of the hour is that knowledge will be sought from the asagir, from the little ones. If we compare this narration to what the author, he mentioned that it has appeared a phenomenon in these days. A phenomenon has appeared in these days amongst the students of knowledge, that they start taking knowledge from those who are young in age. And as if he's saying to us that this was not known to him in his days. In his days, it was not known to him that they would be taking knowledge from the little ones or from those who are young. And because for him it's a phenomenon, for the Shaykh Abdul Salam rahimahullah ta'ala. And then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, comparing that to what is narrated to us from our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that this is from the signs of the hour. And he saw indeed the hour is drawing near. A person, he should prepare for that. And no doubt the hour of every individual is whenever his soul leaves his body. We ask Allah for a good ending. So the author, he says, وَقَدْ اخْتَلَفَ النَّاسُ فِي تَفْسِيرِ الصِّغَارِ هنا على أقوال ذكرها ابن عبد البر في الجامع والشاطبي في الاعتصام. And the people differed here about the interpretation of as-sighar, the little ones, in different statements and in different understandings. Ibn Abd al-Barr mentioned them in al-Jami' and al-Shatibi in al-I'tisam. Ibn Abd al-Barr, when did he die? 463. Ahsanta. In his book al-Jami'. What was the name of that book? We took this book, right? That was Khatib al-Baghdadi. It was two. Both of them are called al-Jami', but one of them was لبيان العلم وفضله. الجامع لبيان العلم وفضله. That's the name of this work here that he's referring to, rahimahullahu ta'ala. And he summarized some of that. But in reference back to that work, as we have seen in the introduction, is collected by chains of narration. Ibn Abd al-Barr, he narrates rahimahullah with his chain back to the Salaf and back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam likewise. So he mentioned with his chain to Abdullah ibn Mubarak whenever he was asked about the asagir. And one of the narrators in the chain of this narration here is Abdullah ibn Mubarak, in the narration of Umayyah ibn Umayyah Al-Jumahi radiyallahu anhu. One of those narrators is Abdullah ibn Mubarak. He was asked, rahimahullah ta'ala, about the meaning of the asagir. قال الذين يقولون برأيهم. الذين يقولون برأيهم. Those who they speak with their opinion. And meaning they give religious verdicts and issues in the religion without mentioning evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. And he referring to Ahl al-Ra'i. He says, فَأَمَّا الصَّغِيرُ يَرْوِي عَنِ الْكَبِيرِ فَلَيْسَ بِصَغِيرِ. As for the one who's young, narrating on the one who is older, then he's not little. And he meaning that the one who is following the stages of knowledge properly, and he's narrating from somebody who is elder than him and qualified, then he's not considered little, rather he's big. Whether he's big, he's following the proper process. And the one in their days, for example, who is learning, even if he's young, but he's learning from the scholars of hadith, the narrations of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he's asked about something, he will narrate what he heard from them precisely. And he will make the judgment based upon these narrations and what they indicate and what they necessitate from rulings and ahkam. And this person is not considered little. Rather, this person is big. Even if he's young in age. This is what he's mentioning here. Also, he mentioned here other wordings. That the Salaf, they said, الجاهل صغير وإن كان شيخا والعالم كبير وإن كان حدثا. That the ignorant person, he's little, even if he is a sheikh, even if he's an elder. He's considered little. He's from the little ones, the one who's ignorant. And the scholar is considered big. A person of knowledge is considered big, major, even if he's young in age. Likewise, it has been mentioned in Sharh I'tiqad Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah by Al-Lalaka'i, rahimahullah ta'ala. And this is one of those books that's called Kutub al-Aqaid al-Musnada. He mentioned with his change to Ibrahim al-Harbi, rahimahullah ta'ala. He died in the year 285, mentioning about the statement here of Ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu. Then his statement, whenever he said, لا يزالون بخير ما أتاهم العلم من قبل كبرائهم. Statement of Ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu, that the people, they will remain upon goodness so long as knowledge comes to them from their elders, and those who are elder in knowledge and understanding and experience. He said, معناه أن الصغير إذا أخذ بقول رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم والصحابة والتابعين رضي الله عنهم فهو كبير. والشيخ الكبير إذا أخذ بقول أبي حنيفة رحمه الله وترك السنن فهو صغير. So he says here, Ibrahim al-Harbi rahimahullah, the meaning of this narration is that the one who is young, the one who is small or young in age, if he holds fast to the statement of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the companions and the tabi'een radiyallahu anhum, then he is considered kabir. He's considered big. But if somebody was an old sheikh and a big sheikh, and he takes to the statement of Abi Hanifa rahimahullah, then he's considered saghir. And he's using Abu Hanifa here as an example for those people who give the fatwa based on their opinion, because it's known in those days that there were two madhahib, or there were two madaris, madrasatan, madrasat ahli Kufa wa hum ahlu ra'i, madrasat al-ra'i. They are known as the ahlu ar-ra', and they were known as the school of thought of the opinion, because they used the qiyas in the alat. And this led them to contradict a number of the clear narrations and to reject them and to refuse them. So they are known like this. And then there was the Madrasa Ahl al-Hadith, and at the head of them, Imam Malik in his day, rahimahullah, and those after him follow him that way, that they relied upon the narrations. Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, and them, they did not necessarily reject the narrations, but Allah knows best. In their day, there were many fitan and trials in Kufa and in Iraq, and causing much of the narrations to be mixed up or to be lost. So they relied upon the qiyas in this manner. In any case, they were known for that. So he doesn't necessarily mean Abu Hanifa, blind following Abu Hanifa. Rather, he means blind following somebody absolutely. So the one who blind follows somebody absolutely, contrary to the narrations or the truth that it's clear in front of one's face, he blind follows Sheikh so-and-so and so-and-so. Because he Sheikh so-and-so and so-and-so, then he's considered here, according to Ibrahim al-Harbi rahimahullah, min al-asagir. Min al-asagir. So this is blameworthy. قال الأوزاعي رحمه الله تعالى, he died in the year 157. He said, العلم ما جاء عن أصحاب محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وما لم يجي عن واحد منهم فليس بعلم. You need to further emphasize this affair, that knowledge is that which has come from the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that which did not come from one of them is not considered knowledge. So those who are following a way contrary to their way, they're the asagir. This is also from the interpretation of that. The asagir, those who do not understand their religion according to the understanding of the Sahaba. They have another understanding in contradiction to that, or contrary to that. They're not holding fast to the narrations. In this manner, they have become belittled. They have belittled themselves by not holding fast to that which the Salaf Salih were upon. So the one who is ignorant and he doesn't know and he speaks like he knows, he's considered saghir, min al-asagir. And the one who is a person of innovation, following his desires, he's considered saghir, min al-asagir. He's little and he's insignificant. And the one who blind follows the people absolutely and forces forces himself to hold fast to the statement of so-and-so and so-and-so, because he's so-and-so and so-and-so, then likewise the Salaf, they considered him to be Saghir min al-Asagir. All of these issues here are blameworthy. And likewise, those who learn, like the author he's mentioning here, those who learn from the little ones, the youth, the younger ones who have not become firmly grounded in knowledge, and show preference to learning from them over the people of knowledge who are elder while they're available, likewise those people are asagir. And those who set themselves up likewise, and call the people to them when there are elders present, and those who are more qualified, though likewise with regards to the Salaf, they are the asagir. So the author, he goes on to clarify, he says, وَقَدْ ذَهَبَ ابن قتيبة رحمه الله تعالى إلى أن الصغار هم صغار الأسنان. Ibn Qutaybah Adinawari, he died in the year 228 or 224, 227, in this area like this. And he has a book called Qarib al-Hadith. He says ذهب إلى أن الصغار هم صغار الأسنان. فقال على أثر ابن مسعود الآن في الذكر رضي الله عنه يريد لا يزال الناس بخير ما كان علماؤهم المشايخ ولم يكن علماؤهم الأحداث، لأن الشيخ قد زالت عنه متعة الشباب وحدته وعجلته وسفهه، واستصحب التجربة والخبرة، ولا يدخل عليه في علمه الشبهة، ولا يغلب عليه الهوى، ولا يميل به الطمع، ولا يستزله الشيطان استزلال الحدث. فمع السن الوقار والجلالة والهيبة. And this is affirming what the author is referring to, that he's intending here to discuss are those who are young in age. He says, Ibn Qutaybah, he says, may Allah have mercy on him, was of the opinion that the sigar, those are those young in age. He mentioned after the narration of Ibn Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu, mentioned previously, what he intends is that the people remain upon goodness so long as their scholars are their elders, and their scholars will not be from the youth, because the elder, the pleasure of youth is gone from him, and likewise is sharpness and hastiness and foolishness. He has know-how and experience. Doubts do not affect his knowledge, and he is not overcome by desires. Nor, right here's a in. Nor does he incline to the whims, and the devil is not able to mislead him the same way as the youth. So, along with age comes composure, honor and reverence. Inshallah, we continue from this point after the salat. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.